So as Accountability Lab South Africa, we have a program called What's on the Menu, Mzansi. It's basically an adaptation of a concept that was brought about by the Youth Democracy Cohort, which is a coalition of organizations, youth organizations from all over the world that came about as a result of the Summit for Democracy in 2021, and young people were not really included there, so young people decided to group themselves, and they created this document called the Menu of Possible Commitments, and we adopted it because we felt like it's a good framework for us to start with in terms of us trying to find out from young people what it is that they think is most important to them and how they think they could be included in governance. So we've been using that, but of course it was created by a global community, so in order for it to be effective to us, we had to localize it.
We're currently one of the municipalities that's implemented a small town regeneration program or framework or project, and it focuses on how do you capitalize on infrastructure, social development, economic development to improve a particular space, and we've identified Paketberg as that space, and you'll see this is the kind of service hub of the municipality. And so a lot of the projects then that come from there, we will try and look at youth, women as well, marginalized groups. But as I said before, it's really an infancy part of youth development for the municipality. We haven't had this before in the sense that we're targeting young people through our identified projects.
Our government is all over with people who is above retirement age. So we need young people in our government to help our land prosper. I don't know, but in the UK you can see there's a lot of young people in their government. They are making moves, a lot of moves. Here in South Africa, it's an old age.
Throughout our history, young people and citizens have been at the forefront of disrupting, revolutionizing, changing and leading.
I will be voting because I want change in my country.
They promise people stuff and things, but it never really happens. It's just empty promises.
I'm not registered actually, and for me, I'm not actually interested in voting because you don't see any changes around. What we learn, I think what we're gonna learn here, it is to open your eyes and to see how you're gonna change something for our youth.
Spaces like these are important to remind us of the power of active citizenship and the power that we actually have in terms of influencing.
When there's a vacancy coming, I apply, nothing happens. Because they put the requirements it's too high, you see, and they need to create more jobs for our young people. Jobs, not actually, they must have some requirements, but not too heavy, you see.
I didn't think that life would be this hard after school. Like, a lot of youngsters are jobless, and the opportunity to have or to find a job is very rare, and if there is, then it is a specific curriculum.
After the voting or after the elections, I want to see people being more committed to what they've been saying.
You can hold the government accountable from a very local level, right? But if you're there, if you sit in the same structures, it's not easy, it's more tough. But the reason why we have a forum and a support structure is to be able to make sure that queer people don't become silent in those spaces. They occupy those spaces intentionally to make sure that they question, they interrogate, but also they involve their voice.
So we've been going around, we did consultations with young people so that we can find out ways on how we can best localize it, or at least create a localized menu. And then we did that with the first round of workshops. And now we are back in Bergrivier again in the Western Cape, as we've been doing the second round of provincial consultations. So after we created this menu of possible commitments, we took it to political parties. We had mixed reviews on how they feel about it. We took it to provincial governments, as many as we could attend. We took it to civil society, those that we could get a hold of as well.
Most importantly, we need to get young people more involved in activities of community participation. I'm responsible for public participation in the Bergrivier space. and we have ward committees and we have ward councillors. What we see is at these IDP and budget meetings, there's not a lot of, in fact, there are no youth. I was going to say there's not a lot, there's actually no youth. Our youth sector, they're represented by the older folk as well, over 35, 60 at times. And so events and workshops like this and activities like this, I'm hoping will encourage young people to use those platforms to advocate for what they need. Because it's very different to when a 50 or 60-year-old is saying the youth need employment. What kind of employment? They're talking from maybe from a mindset where technology is not even thought of. So we have to get young people more involved in the activities of public participation, especially around budgeting and planning. Because once those two things include youth needs, we will see it manifest through projects and programs. And so that's my goal, to ensure that we have more partnerships like this, that more organizations like Accountability Lab come into our municipality and offer this kind of active citizenry engagements going forward.
If we are not consulted or if we don't become part of that process, we would never see ourselves as part of governance or as part of a constitution, right? And we live in a constitutional democracy. And so these processes and moments such as these become extremely imperative in order to reignite active citizenship and participation in those processes.
We need to make informed decisions when it comes to the elections.
Yeah.
And part of that is us seeing the level of commitment that these institutions have towards promoting youth participation. It's to the benefit of us basically getting to the polls, because we're not going to go to the polls if we don't know what is on offer. What are you actually doing for you young people?
Today's proceedings went very well. Just standing up and making sure that young people are heard, young people are represented in our country, in the democratic system is very important to us. We handed over a memorandum to the Gauteng legislature, making sure that even the Gauteng legislature involves young people in their proceedings, in their governance.
It's proving a bit more challenging than we expected. Not a lot of people are just willing to take up meetings. You get taken from pillar to post, but nonetheless, there's no reason to give up. So yeah, we will be holding them accountable. We've given them a fairly reasonable time up until next year, January, to get responses, so that young people can have a say, and also that public participation can be something that can be brought forth.
We had a follow-up session on the 1st of December where we went to different political houses, visiting them to adopt what's on the menu, principles rather. And we went to Lutuli House, we went to the Gauteng legislature. So today we're going to go there to follow up on that session, and then we're going to be visiting the EFF offices, visiting Action SA, hopefully DA, and we hope that they actually show an interest in adopting this menu of possible commitments. I look forward to today.
At the EFF headquarters, we ended up being in a foyer. No one took us to the office and explained the processes of how to go about talking to a relevant person. We were just told the instructions and they took our papers and not really following up and getting proper information.
We went to the DA offices in Bruma, and there it was quite cold, unexpectedly so. And when we got there, we tried to convince them of the same thing that we've been sharing with the other political parties, to say, hey, we are not here to attack you, we're not here to fight you, we're just a group of young people globally who have decided that we want youth to be active in the society, and they did not even want to hear us. They just told us to go all the way to Cape Town, but we ended up resolving it with agreeing on sending an email and further communicating virtually, telephonically, until they let us come in, which we hope they will do, because from our end we will try our best to continue to try to get as many political parties to adopt this menu of possible commitments.
So I'll give you the contact, the youth in the premise office. By the time we leave here, I'll give you also the contact of the youth, the Gauteng Youth Parliament, which is our youth thing. And possibly we can organize a meeting between yourself and them.
As we met with Mr. Malatsi, he was very much interested in partnering with Accountability Lab, loving the values of us training young people, going as far as they are willing to send delegates to assist us with facilitation, and even go as far as going into the townships, offering municipal halls to be of assistance. So I could say it was a productive meeting.
There are clear synergies, and they also feel the same way we feel about youth political participation happening, whether it's the young people being involved in like the decision making and things like that, and also the young people that are already in parliament. Do they have support? Are they championing our views and our needs, or are they not, and what the bottlenecks are?
They were very receptive of our presentation and even our objectives to get young people into the government roles and even make the government accountable, especially when it comes to youth issues.
I think noted about 3 or 4 issues of common interest, and maybe move towards a way forward.
So I think maybe we can just have a timeline for stated documents, and the next one for starting the concept note and also concluding that concept note for that event. And then in that concept note we can work out logistics, who does what, where, and so forth.
Registrations for the 2024 South African elections saw an underwhelming response from the South African youth, which makes up about 63% of the overall population. This, of course, raises concerns. However, rather than to dismiss the youth as disinterested in politics, I ventured into my community to hear what some of my peers had to say about the current state of our country.
No.
Yes, I am.
Nami currently angaka register.
First time vote.
Yes, I am registered to vote.
Bengaka register because schedule sami nese registration nalezo inkathi beziclash yabo, but bengazihanda ukuregister ukuvota wena.
Because I want to bring change and I want my voice to be heard for the political party that I'm going to vote for.
I don't see the reason for me to vote because I don't benefit anything from them.
I am registered to vote because I want to take part in what South Africa has to become, and I believe that if I do not vote, I'll not be able to hold anyone accountable.
To be honest, I mean, I'm going to because you're finding so for the ANC, because no man thinks of what they change. You're finding as soon as I so why I keep vote.
Me too. I feel like there is no difference between exercising the right to vote and
and lo muntu ongayisebenzisi ngifuna ngathi bayafana because service delivery ayikho khona at the end of the day ayibi khona.
We think the youth is not checked out of politics. The youth is very much active in politics. You find us in civil society. You find them marching every year for different things. I mean, you think of the fees must fall. That was young people signaling something. So you think of those young people in the communities that are the ones that are organizing these protests for service delivery. That's young people calling out for something and saying that, look, we are very much alive and participating in this. What is the difference, though, is that young people do not feel represented by political parties. Hence, they opt to shape policy through civil society and go get corporate jobs that will try and help them to at least contribute basically to the economy. But the crux of it is that young people have actually checked out of mainstream politics, which is the conventional one that has to do with political parties, but not politicking as a whole.
Because as ngaba ngcono kanjani lithi kubambe enye iphathi ngisho dangibo ukuthi ayifeli nazi into ebesikhalela lana ngacala ukuvuta la ivote into engibona ukuthi isha
service delivery ya deliver
then
singachange
nje nanje ngithi ayathi ngisupport EFF angazi siphetheleni aroma because nathi noma singavote DA or EFF bona me basho ukuthi kuzophatha into kanje kuphathayo. Because asazi next system another thing. You know nothing about the system.
I don't really trust the system. For me, it's not real. Whether you vote or don't vote, like it's almost the same. I think we need to change the system first, because they're still using the very same system they used before. So if you vote, you don't vote, you're not going to see change.
So Rise Mzansi believes that we need to be able to find a way to bring in young people into this table, and hence the design of Rise Mzansi. The fact that it does not have a youth league is to say that we are giving you the voice and the platform. It's your future, it's your country, you choose what you want to do with it, right? So young people at large have not checked out of politics entirely. They are out there feeling underrepresented, and as Rise Mzansi, we believe that all they need is a viable option.
By voting, the simplest way to do this is to vote, because if we go out and vote in numbers as young people, we will be able to vote for people that will represent us, that will represent our values, things that we stand for, and if things don't go accordingly in the future, we'll know that it was our own decisions. So it is very important that we as the youth, we hold the government accountable by voting, by casting our vote.
You know, if I personally think if the South African youth can be involved in the decision makings of the South African choices that are being made, then they would come up with great ideas, you know, and great evolution for the next coming years on how we can implement new strategies to run the country and bring change.
So a friend of mine explains, you know, like the concept of why it's important for young people to vote quite importantly, or like quite better. So she says that South Africa is like a moving vehicle that's headed towards a cliff, right? And what everyone else is doing is that we're all shouting outside of the vehicle, we're all shouting for the vehicle to stop. And we in fact even go as far as saying that, look, we'll wait for the car to fall off the cliff, and then we'll tell the driver when the car has fallen over that they're a bad driver, right? But what we are missing is that the car that has been driven, it's our car, right? The car that has been driven over the edge is not just their car, it's everyone's car around this table, right? And therefore, it's actually quite important that we as young people be the ones who actually get in that car and steer towards the right direction. That's the same with our democracy. We cannot be seated outside political parties and, you know, and not voting and shouting that they're doing wrong, and we'll tell them that they've actually failed when they've failed. Let's get involved and do something, because it's not our country that they're crashing, it's our country. And we need to be involved.
My name is Ntethelelo Mkhwanazi. I am from Impangeni in a small village called Kwadlangezwa. I studied drama at DUT.
I'm Dombizodwa Msani, and I am a human rights activist. I sing to raise awareness about humanity and human rights violations.
My name is Michael Palmer, goes by the name of Mr. Impy. I'm originally from Bredasdorp and I am a motivational rapper that's touching topics like gender-based violence.
My name is Inhlapa Louis, all the way from Lodi, Johannesburg South. I'm also known as Reptile SA.
It's your boy JSEF, J-Surf, yes sir. You know, I'm an artist, yeah, I don't want to classify myself.
We are going to be interacting with them as much as possible, sort of take them on the journey. We spoke about things like getting your music registered and taking care of your craft, your intellectual property. At various points, touch base with them just to see, because that's the toughest thing, isn't it? It's implementation. But just to ensure that these winners are implementing the information that they've received.
That's why I'm so grateful of the opportunity today to share the knowledge that I've learned within the music industry. I was privileged to be also surrounded by people who were actively taking part in the industry. They shared knowledge with me that I'm sharing with others.
My experiences with the mentors, it was very life-changing for me. There were things that I really didn't know about. As much as I previously said I've studied music or I've done music for a very long time, there were things that I didn't know at all.
It has been quite an amazing one, and I feel that a lot of young people are in need of this information, especially those in the creative spaces. It is not just about you entering into a studio. There's more critical things that you need to keep in mind in terms of building a very solid foundation for your career.
I was quite nervous, and for me the experience is like I have a place where I can speak freely, where I can express myself.
The experience that I had with the mentors yesterday was life-changing because they happened to teach us about the industry, more especially the business part of it, copyright issues and notifying your works.
My experience with the mentors yesterday was pretty good, you know, listening to people in the game express how they feel about the game, giving us like direction is the best feeling ever.
Thank you in advance, but all I wanna ask, tell me, are you willing to give the youth a chance?
I pick freedom of expression because we don't have the courage, we don't have the confidence to express ourselves, to ask, to question, to challenge. I expressed myself as a youth, so I had also the freedom, and it goes for me and for everybody else that's going to listen to it.
I just want the freedom of expression.
I entered Voice to Rap because for me, music is something that I want to pursue. I didn't really think it was this big, but for me, it was just a way of carrying on doing what I love.
What made me to enter the Voice to Rap competition was the idea behind it, which was to touch on the things that are happening on a daily basis back in the hood or in our townships. So those are like social problems that people face almost each and every day.
What made me enter the Voice to Rap music competition is I love the agenda they're pushing and I believe in it, and I feel like it's something that I want to be part of.
Our leaders for tomorrow, nations are waiting.
I chose supporting youth in government because this year is a very significant period in time for South Africa. In terms of our democracy and the journey that we've taken, we have independent electorates coming into government, and it is a very interesting period. So also finding young people in those spaces would be very, very much beneficial for us to start seeing faces that resemble ourselves.
Accountability for me means being able to take responsibility.
Being able to own, whether it is your inability to do something or the action in which that you have found yourself where it had a repercussion.
Somebody who focuses on speaking on issues that are relevant to the times that we're living in.
Hey, don't cry, hey, hold up, this pain can't last any longer, and if it don't kill it, make you.
What made me pick promoting the culture amongst the youth is because some things are not addressed properly, you know. So I feel like as a musician, I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to probably target that and be like, hey, look guys, this is what I think we can do, to escape or to win.
Being an active citizen means having an opinion on matters that might not necessarily impact you directly.
bringing about change in every way possible that I can.
To be an active citizen for me, it means much to me. So I reach out to people, go to schools, perform at government events and to get a message across.
You have to be accountable of almost everything that happens around your people or your community, and then stand and ask wherever it's needed to be asked and assist wherever you can.
With regards to making socially conscious music, I think it's also got to do with the fact that I probably resonate with the music a lot more when there's a message behind it.
Making socially conscious music means bringing change, bringing hope to people, touching on issues that are happening every day and bringing them in a sense of music, because music is everywhere. Music is in every form of our living. So if I can bring happy music with a message of things that are happening that are not really touched, I think for me that would be a thing.
I grew up listening to social rap and social music, you know. So I love inspiring people. I love touching the souls, the hearts, because I feel like we're broken, you know. So the best way to reach people is through music.
Make sure you have a purpose, understand your why, and through understanding your why, you'll be able to easily navigate through the industry.
Welcome to everyone. My name is Leshonolo, but I'm famously known as Shoni. And I'm an integrity icon, queer award winner. Ne? So please, can you give me a round of applause? We were here not so long ago, and they were giving us awards. Now today, I'm part of the team that will be handing out the awards. So right now, we're going to start with the docu, the little documentary that we have prepared. Just so we have a background story on how the project started and what exactly it's about. Can you please give another round of applause for those celebrities? That was beautiful. But guys, we'll meet them a bit later on there, but I just wanted you guys to see them and get a feel of their neck. Thank you so much, guys. What an insightful documentary.
These are up-and-coming musicians, and what do they need? They need autonomy, they need to be independent, they need to know how to survive. So what we did, we went and we got mentors, because mentors are there to help them, to shape their minds, to also help them, walk the journey that they have already walked. We had Silas Beats, and then we also had Nathan Blair, who's here in the house today. I think you saw him in the documentary. And yeah, they shaped them, they drilled them, they made them rehearse stuff, they asked them the hard questions, they made them think, they gave them homework. But you see, when I look at them now, I'm very proud because they are polished. They are like proper musicians.